Hello everybody, welcome to the Afro Report, your place for American freedom news. Today we will be discussing LeBron James questions to the media. So, on November 23rd, 2022, Washington Post put out a story about Jerry Jones titled, "Jerry Jones helped transform the NFL except when it comes to race." And to highlight Jerry Jones' troubled history with race, the Washington Post used two photos that many were not aware of. On September 9, 1957, Dallas Cowboys and the NFL's most powerful owner, Jerry Jones, at the age of 14, was a part of a racist mob of whites who physically denied 6 blacks entrance into the North Little Rock High School. LeBron James took issue with this, not being questioned about it by the media, and this is what he had to say.
I was wondering why I haven't gotten a question from you guys about the Jerry Jones photo. But when the Kyrie thing was going on, you guys were quick to ask us questions about that.
Okay.
Hold on. And I don't even want you guys to say nothing. When I watched Kyrie talk and he says, "I know who I am, but I want to keep the same energy when we're talking about my people and the things that we've been through." And that Jerry Jones photo is one of those moments that our people, black people, have been through in America. And I feel like, as a black man, as a black athlete, as someone with power and a platform, when we do something wrong or something that people don't agree with, it's on every single tabloid, every single news coverage. It's on the bottom ticker. It's asked about every single day. But it seems like to me that the whole Jerry Jones situation photo, and I know it was years and years ago and we all make mistakes, I get it. But it seemed like it's just been buried under like, oh, it happened. Okay, we just move on. And I was just kind of disappointed that I haven't received that question from you guys. Appreciate it.
Even though LeBron is an NBA player, he openly supports and has a relationship, not only with the Dallas Cowboys, but Jerry Jones as well. So I think it would have been fair to ask LeBron James about the incident. But given his track record with handling racial issues, LeBron hasn't been the best advocate for black Americans, and that's been extremely nice. When asked about Kyrie's tweet and his former teammate being anti-Semitic, LeBron did what he does best and tries to avoid any controversy by saying as least as possible. Here's what LeBron had to say about his former teammate.
Me personally, I don't condone any hate to any kind, to any race, to Jewish communities, to black communities, to Asian communities. You guys know where I stand, and it's part of the reason why I didn't air the Shop episode, why we kicked that, out of the archives, because it was hate conversation going on there, and I don't represent that. There's no place in this world for it. Nobody can benefit from that, and I believe what Kyrie did caused some harm to a lot of people, and he has since over the last, I think today or was it yesterday, he apologized. But he caused some harm, and I think it's unfortunate. But I don't stand on the position to harm people when it comes to your voice or your platform or anything. And so it doesn't matter what color your skin is, how tall you are, what position you are in. If you are promoting or soliciting or saying harmful things to any community that harm people, then I don't respect it. I don't.
Kyrie posted a documentary that's readily available on Amazon, which speaks about the history of the Africans being Jews or the chosen people of God. Now, the documentary does challenge how many Jews died in the Holocaust, which is not a new argument. It's even broached by Ashkenazi Jewish scholars, and the documentary also has a quote from Hitler. But the main premises of this 3-hour documentary is to challenge the beliefs of who are the chosen people of God. When asked by the media, Kyrie said he didn't agree with the entirety of the documentary, and he definitely is not anti-Semitic. Matter of fact, he said he can't be anti-Semitic because he knows who he is. One thing about this situation is that Kyrie had a lot of supporters, right? And he's always had a lot of supporters that push back against this narrative of him being anti-Semitic. And those supporters, range from an array of people going all the way up to Minister Farrakhan. And the public really pushed back on LeBron about his criticisms of Kyrie, which aligned with mainstream media. So much so that LeBron had to come out with another statement. And his statement was, I told you guys that I don't believe in sharing hurtful information, and I'll continue to be that way, but Kyrie apologized, and he should be able to play. That's what I think. It's that simple. Help him learn, but he should be playing. What he's asked to do to get back on the floor, I think, is excessive. In my opinion, he's not the person that's being portrayed of him. Anyways, back to my rehab. And you can tell from this statement, LeBron was, kind of turning, the tide of Kyrie being this negative, anti-Semitic, hurtful person to somebody who just made a mistake. So he kind of lightened it up. Let's get back to the Jerry Jones issue. The media didn't ask LeBron or any black American. I'm not just talking about athletes either. They didn't ask no black people in academia. They not gonna ask any of you Negroes, none of you CNN Negroes, none of you MSNBC Negroes. They not gonna ask Dr. Cornel West. They don't care what Dr. Umar Johnson think, and they definitely don't care what an athlete or an entertainer thinks about a prominent, affluent, white person in America that may or may not be racist. Now, in the Jerry Jones situation, in my opinion, the verdict is in, right? This man has always been anti-black, but you think they gonna let you speak on that? Man, you ain't nobody to them. Your job is to sell meritocracy in a post-racial America, while the masses of black people get pummeled, pillaged, and marginalized by systematic racism. I got a question. Why would the media ask LeBron James about anything regarding race? This man has been running from the race conversation his whole career. He's been running since he's been crowned the king. So why would they ask you now? We seen the pictures of Miami Heat with the hoodies, but you never verbalized it. It was never verbalized. You just said we standing in solidarity. Then you go to Cleveland, taking my talents to Cleveland. You was able to bring them their first championship, and the Tamir Rice situation happened. Now, at this time, Cleveland was the worst police district in America. There was one case where they stood on the hood of the car and unloaded about 100 shots into the passenger. I mean, Cleveland police force was in disarray, and I believe it still is. But the Tamir Rice situation happened. The family of Tamir Rice and advocates in Cleveland pushed LeBron James to sit out a game, to do some type of protest, to draw attention to the injustices that was going on, not only in Cleveland, but that had impacted the Rice's family. And the media came to LeBron and they asked him, give us a statement on this. And his statement goes, for me, I've always been a guy who's taken pride and knowledge of every situation that I've ever spoken on. And to be honest, I haven't really been on top of this issue, so it's hard for me to comment. So the media came back a couple of days later and they said, okay, LeBron, we gave you a couple of days. What's your thoughts on the Tamir Rice situation? And he said, I already gave you my thoughts, and I'm not speaking on it again. So he spins them, right? He runs from race yet again. Then when the Milwaukee Bucks staged a protest, this was, during COVID, where they had isolated the players and they was down in Orlando playing. And they did this in honor to raise awareness for Jacob Blake, who had been shot by white cops in Kenosha, Wisconsin, in front of his kids. In front of his kids, this man was shot multiple times, ended up being paralyzed. And I believe the protest or the walkout was staged by George Hill, and the rest of the Milwaukee players banded together and they just walked out of the gym and they didn't play the game. And then up next, you had a few other teams. So it kind of just was a domino effect, and LeBron and them had the late game. So what the NBA did before, to get a hold of it and contain it was to say all games on this day have been postponed. And what you find out is that behind the scenes, LeBron James goes and meets with Obama of all people. These are two Negroes that run from race. He goes and meets with Obama, and they come up with some type of ploy to get the NBA players back on the court. And he brags about this on his show, The Shop. So why is a man that's always running from race now going to go head first into a race conversation? You wasn't going to say anything, LeBron, and that's just the thick of it. It is what it is. That's not what they pay you for. That's not in your job description. And you know you didn't want to do it. That's why you walked off soon as you asked the media the questions in the first place. You know who else the media didn't talk to? The media didn't talk to the Arkansas 9. And those should have been the first people that they spoken to. There was 9 people on that day that tried to integrate Little Rock high schools. 8 of them is still alive. I'm gonna run down the list, right? I'm gonna start with the one that's deceased. Jefferson Thomas, he was an Army vet. He died of cancer. All right, you got Minnie Jean Brown. She worked for the Clinton administration, still alive. Terrence Robert, he was an author and an educator, still alive. Elizabeth Eckford, Army vet, history teacher. Ernest Green, president. He worked for President Carter administration, assistant secretary of labor. Thelma Mothershed, she's the eldest member. She received the National Humanitarian Award. Melba Patillo, American journalist and educator. Gloria Ray, she was a patent attorney. And then last you have Carletta Wald Lanier. Her father had to move from Arkansas to Colorado just to find employment because of the racial atmosphere and what his daughter did on that day. She later became president of the Little Rock 9 Foundation. They not going to ask any of those 8 people either because they don't care. They don't care. The media is anti-black, sports is anti-black, and we got to get past this some way, somehow, but we not going to do this through black celebrity. And we definitely not going to do this between black celebrity and black athletes who are too afraid to challenge their paymaster. That's not how we going to do this. They not going to ask you, and you not going to answer a question if you are asked. That's the problem with all this in the first place. These Negroes is just posturing. Jerry has owned the Dallas Cowboys since 1989. He had a lot of black players, never had a black coach. Never had a black coach. When it came to the Colin Kaepernick situation, Jerry said, my players are not going to kneel. And then he tried to come up with some bogus excuse saying it would be bad for his bottom line. Even though Texas is a red state, Dallas and a lot of the surrounding cities around Dallas, like Fort Worth and others, are predominantly Democratic cities. So it has nothing to do with his bottom line. Jerry didn't want his players to kneel because he knew what initially Colin Kaepernick was standing for before Colin Kaepernick, got knocked off his square and it just became about some ambiguous, broad stand for anything or stand for something or you'll fall for anything, whatever Nike made it. But y'all get my point. But Jerry didn't kneel until Trump said some extremely racist stuff. And because Jerry kind of got caught having a tight relationship with Trump, then he thought it was apropos for him and his players to kneel. So they came up with this big exhibition where they will all kneel at the same time and Jerry being in the middle, being the center of attention. Oh, it was horrendous. It was horrendous. It was like, look at me and my Negroes. But anyway, they're not going to ask you, LeBron, because you're not going to speak on it. You're not going to speak on it forthright. You're not going to speak on it truthfully. All you're going to do is a disservice to the community you came from, the community that propped you up, for the community that pays you now. That's why they're not going to ask you. And that's why they don't need to ask you. Matter of fact, they're not going to ask you because they don't want to make you look like the bumbling idiot you is, because they need you to sell products. They don't want you to have another one of these moments.
And basically, his words in the 60s and what was going on is actually what's going on today still. Him understanding how powerful the Negro can be. He used that word a lot. How powerful we are
but we have to unite, and we have to be together. We have to stand strong, because there's always going to be obstacles. There's always going to be things that's going to be thrown at us where they try to weaken us. They try to make us feel like we're not kings and queens. And it's going to come from all, different races and different shapes and sizes and things of that nature. Just a very powerful-minded gentleman. And it's unbelievable to kind of read something that's coming directly from him. Just hate.
These leaders that they call leaders. This included Lena Horne. This included Dick Gregory. And this included comedians, comics, trumpet players, baseball players. Show me in the white community where a comedian is a white leader. Show me in the white community where a singer is a white leader, or a dancer or a trumpet player is a white leader. These aren't leaders. These are puppets and clowns that have been set up over the white community and over the black community.
Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment in the comment section. If the media would initially ask LeBron James a question about his friend Jerry Jones, would he have replied with something meaningful, or would he sidestepped it like he usually does the race situation? I'll leave you with a message from Malcolm X. Thanks. Peace, everyone.